Hi, and welcome to Rise, Heal, and Grow. I'm Leah M. Hill. This show is a podcast production of Apollo Sunrise Center, which is a health, wellness, and spiritual retreat center in Merrimack, Massachusetts. On this show, we shine the light on those who nurture wellness and inspire positive change. My guest today is Nicole Glynn. She is the founder of Nicole Glynn Communications. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thanks for being here today on this very snowy day today that we did not expect. One thing about being in Massachusetts, right?
Never ready.
You never know. It might snow, it might be sunny the next minute, but thank you for braving the snow today and being here because I really wanted to talk to you about your work and all the interesting things that you're involved in, that you do, and which is communications and marketing. But how did you first get into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much all my life, I knew I was really interested in that type of storytelling. I always say that when I was younger, I would go out and get the big glossy magazines, and I loved the advertisements, the fashion advertisements specifically. They were so fun to look at. And I always,
Glamour magazine.
Yes, exactly.
I remember.
I would ask my mom, I was like, can I get the big September issue of Vogue? And she's like, that's a lot of money.
Yes, I know. But it was like a Bible. It was really thick. Yes.
You had to sit and flip through it.
Right.
And I loved all the advertisements and the stories that they would tell. So that was always a big interest to me. And I was lucky that when I was at that high school age, when you're trying to figure out, what are you going to do? What's the next step for you? My sister was attending Boston University, and she was in the School of Communications, which is a phenomenal school. It's really great access to journalism and PR and advertising. So I had exposure to that and knew pretty much right away that that's where I wanted to go and learn. And that was just a huge education experience from there.
Yeah, so much to learn too. But then you did work in corporate for a while, right?
Yes. I was in corporate for several years. I worked in-house at different marketing roles. I was at Wayfair for a bit, and then an interior design firm, and just wearing a lot of hats. I think anyone who works in marketing communications in-house, you aren't necessarily just doing social media or just email marketing. You're doing all of them, which is a great experience because I got to do a lot of cross-functional collaboration, and I was in a lot of roles too where I got to grow processes from the ground up.
That's fun.
Get to start that. So that was a great experience and a lot of self-teaching, which I think helped me with learning how to get scrappy and then lead to my own journey of going on my own.
Yeah. So how did that happen? How did you get to the point where you were like, okay, I'm going to go out and do this
I'm going to take that choice.
I'm going to take that leap.
It's a big risk. I always had in the back of my head, the dream of it would be fun to do some type of consulting or go off on my own, but it felt like that. It felt like a dream. It didn't really feel realistic.
I hear you. Yeah. I know what you mean.
And then a time comes, and I was at a transitional point in my career where I knew I could go pursue another corporate role, or I could test it out and, take that chance and see if it worked. And to be totally honest, where I was from my last corporate role, I was pretty burnt out. I wasn't feeling really creatively fulfilled. I didn't feel really excited about the work I was doing. It was becoming more about internal dynamics than the work itself. And the thought of going into another corporate role like that was a little daunting to me. So I just felt I was at the point, what do I really have to lose? I can try it, and if it doesn't work out, I can always go back to something else. So I decided to take that risk, and thankfully it has worked.
It has worked. Yeah, because I always kind of wondered about that. Like, I used to be in sales, and I always had to believe in what I was selling in order to be successful at it. And I always wondered, for people in communications and marketing, can you just market anything, or is it something you really have to have your own interest in?
Absolutely. No, it's so true. And I feel like for me, it did get a little stale for a bit, which I didn't realize. I think with anything, we're all just kind of going through the motions and pushing forward and, doing your everyday work. But when I went on my own, it was a lot more creatively fulfilling, and I got to seek out different types of conversations and projects that I hadn't really had access to before. Yeah,
that's interesting because, let's talk a little bit about just the fear of taking that leap, right? I mean, it's not just the financial risk, of like, oh, how am I going to support myself?
And that's a big part. That's a big part of it.
And insurance, health insurance, and things like that. So how did you navigate all the fears? The fear of what if it doesn't work out or anything?
Yeah, I think I tried to lay out all the logistics, try to really figure out, how how am I going to do this? What is additional income I'll need? Like those kind of factors. And really just trying to make sure I was committing to projects and clients that would really benefit me and be helpful, so that if it didn't pan out, that I could always, kind of go in a different direction. But I tried to really lay it out for success and getting my portfolio and everything in order. But the biggest risks and fears are definitely the finances and the health insurance, which those are factual things. You can't really do much to prepare for that, except hope that it works out. And if it doesn't, kind of figure out how you go from there.
Right. Have your plan B ready if you need it. Right. Well, that's good. But it's good to share that. I always like asking that because there's so many people in that position that would love that are like, I'm really, burnt out on the corporate job, and I just want to do my own thing, have my own control over,
absolutely.
For me, it was about controlling my own schedule.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, to be able to say, okay, I'm doing this today, but not tomorrow, which I couldn't do before. That it is a big leap, but.
It's worth it though, too. I think, and to your point about the control, it's the scheduling. Even now, I always feel that my work and life balance is so different. Before, if I had a doctor's appointment and where I was working, it was like, okay, well, when are you going to be back? When's that over?
Yeah.
Whereas now, that's not even a conversation with my clients. They're not really concerned about that, and I'm able to prioritize my own well-being and my own time too.
Yeah, that's a big benefit, definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Too. One of the reasons why you're willing to take the risk
yes.
is to do that.
Absolutely.
Right. So tell everybody what is exactly what you do at Nicole Glynn Communications. What do you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I help businesses with their digital marketing. So that includes social media marketing as well as email marketing. And really at the root of that, I work with businesses to understand who their brand is, who they're trying to reach in their target audience, and help with that storytelling so that it is effective and they're not just putting messaging out there that isn't really applicable to the audience that they want to reach or convert to a customer.
Right. So that's hard because we all feel like we have to just, as a small business owner, just keep posting. And what you're saying is there's really the strategy behind it is about storytelling a lot of times.
Yes, definitely. At the root of what I work with businesses is making sure that we are operating off of a brand kit, so understanding right away who do they want to speak to, what are their values, what's their mission. And then I also really believe in a content calendar. I don't think you should just post to post. I also don't believe in over posting. I don't think you need to post every single day.
Oh, that's a hard one too.
And a lot of people think they have to do that, and there's a balance in between. I think outlining a content calendar for the month is something I always do with each of my clients, and we establish what are the themes we're going to be talking about, what's the frequency we're going to be posting, so that we have those moments where there's some posts are showing like the lights are on, and then that's just an awareness post, and that's okay. The brand awareness is good, but then there are the more call to action ones where we're driving something specific, and we have a goal,
that we're trying to meet here.
Exactly.
That makes sense, because I think well, maybe you could share too what you find a lot of your clients struggle with. But I know for me, it's like I feel like if I'm posting, and then I get the analytics and it's like 10 people saw it, and I'm going, what? I put all this effort. I'm thinking I'm over posting here, and it's like the analytics just aren't there. So is that kind of where you find your clients get stuck?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it is maybe they don't understand why isn't it reaching people, why isn't it effective?
Right.
And that comes down to a few factors. There's the algorithm of it all. We're all playing an algorithm game, and we all know that video is very popular, especially on Instagram and Facebook. So that's a huge part of what type of content are you posting. Is it engaging? Is it appeasing? And your target audience, it sounds so simple to say, but there's so many times I'll start working with someone and they'll say, oh, I have like hundreds and thousands of followers. And I'll say, well, are they your actual audience, though? How much of that audience is random? How much is it friends and family that you ask to follow you? Which is fine.
Question. That's a good point, though.
Yeah, and if you're not reaching who you want to be, then, the people are probably engaging. So that's an important part. And I think also understanding what analytics matter most to you. I don't necessarily put too much weight on the impressions or likes because it's hard to stop the thumb traffic. We're all getting
Yeah.
so much content. It is hard
Yeah.
to get that.
Yeah.
But if you're having a good reach, you're having good visibility,
Right.
that I think is what's really impactful because you're getting
that's-
in front of.
Yeah, so good to know. Thank you for sharing that, because we get so focused on how many followers, how many subscribers, how many, you know,
Yes.
that kind of thing. But to your point, if they're not your audience, if they're not even
Yeah.
your clients, maybe, you know, they're just
Yeah.
people out there tagging you so that you would tag them maybe, or something, you know, the reciprocal
Yeah.
process. But it's so important to think about that, exactly who it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, it doesn't matter necessarily that you have the highest quantity of followers, but it's more that effectiveness of what is the quality over quantity.
Right. And is that something that you can, see in your analytics when someone's working with you? Are they like, oh, okay, we can see now that we've narrowed this down, or we're really targeting this niche, that we've got, better sales or better views or whatever it is their goal is?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will work with clients to give them engagement reports to show the actual numbers and break that down for the story.
Okay.
But what's really interesting and where they see the impact a lot is the anecdotal component. So
Okay.
when they hear people say, oh, I've seen your social media, like I'm having so
Yeah.
much fun with it, or
Yeah.
people will learn about the brand because they've seen an ad pop up on social or some video we did, and then they're using QR codes to bring to their own office so that they promote that more to customers.
So you can track
that's-
that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really when you understand the reach a little bit more, and I can show them the numbers, and I'll outline, if we have any bumps in the road or what's a positive experience.
Right.
But when they come to me and they say, oh, we're getting so much reception on our social media posts, that's when we know it's going
Yeah.
really well, and that's always really
And
positive
the
to hear.
strategy's working.
Yes, exactly.
That's
It's reaching them.
good. So talk a little bit about these milestone your loving milestone and anniversary campaigns. What is
Yes.
that? What is that about?
Yes, so I've had the honor to work on a few different milestone and anniversary campaigns, from companies celebrating decades in business
Oh, I see.
to
Okay.
different milestones, just from their brand story.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy doing those because I think it's a really unique experience to get to blend that future vision and also take a moment to step back and say, oh, here are all of our past accomplishments.
Yeah.
That we don't always take the moment to breathe
Right.
and look at what that is and really celebrate ourselves.
I get
so
that, yeah.
I like to see those come together. I'm working on a few exciting ones this year, which I'm really looking forward to.
Nice.
And it's been bringing me back to early in my career. The first ever campaign I think I even worked on was an anniversary campaign. And it was for the Travis Roy Foundation. I don't
yes.
know if people
I am
are
familiar. Very much. Yes.
So for those who don't know, Travis Roy was a Boston University hockey player. And within his first college hockey game, in the first 11 seconds,
Yeah.
he was injured and paralyzed from the neck down. So the foundation is geared to raising that awareness and helping other spinal injury survivors have a good quality of life. And I got to work with him for that 20th anniversary to
Amazing.
mark,
Wow.
a moment that was horrific, what
Yeah.
happened to him, and help raise awareness and help get in front to help other people who are in that position. And just getting to work with him directly was incredible.
I'm sure.
And he was so inspiring, and I remember that at the time, but now that I'm older, I think I've just, again, been thinking about it a lot more with these other campaigns coming up, and it's really hit me just how humbling that was, and
Yeah.
what an incredible person he was, and I think it's probably the best I'll ever see in humanity, honestly,
Yeah.
and that has really made a mark on me and the kind of work that I've got to do, so that's been something that's top of mind. I think no matter what kind of campaign I'm working on for a milestone or anniversary, that one is
It stays with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and talk a little bit about the storytelling aspect that you focus on in your work. Like, why is that important?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, for something, whether it's a milestone or just
Yeah.
ongoing awareness, being able to reflect on, we know our brand or our business the most, right? We're so close to it
Right.
that sometimes we forget that. So it's important to share that story externally and share that wealth with people and let them know, what your values are or where your story began. I have some clients who are family-owned businesses, and some of their customers don't know that because they have been a customer for
right.
a handful of years. So they're
Yeah.
happy with their experience, but they maybe aren't familiar with that aspect.
Right.
And I think that's really important to share that story and show where the roots began and show that, our founder gave the business to his son, and then he's carried that on, and that's really impactful, and it comes back to
That's true.
those relationship values of caring for the customer. So it's kind of taking the step back instead of just saying, here's our service, here's why our service matters, because it's the story behind it.
Yeah, right. Thank you for sharing that. Because that does make a difference when you're thinking about, purchasing products from the big, let's call it the big stores that you could purchase online. I don't know if we can say the name, but the big easy click, and get your product shipped in a few days, or like supporting a business that has this generational influence and work and aspect to it, and being maybe a neighborhood a neighborhood business and everything, that really does make a difference.
Absolutely.
Because I'm definitely one of those people. I do purchase from the
We're all
big store.
guilty of it.
I know,
We're all
we all
guilty.
purchase from the big store, but when I can, especially for things like gifts, I tend to turn towards the homemade, the local made, small business things, because it means something to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're more likely to return to that in a different way too, because you're familiar with the story, and then there's, on their side, a little bit more fun to have with the marketing, that they get to continue evolving and sharing that as well.
That's true. I could see where that would be a lot of fun for you and your job and putting that together. So when you launched Nicole Glynn Communications, you kind of had to start from scratch, and you had to do like networking to get business and get out there. What was that like? How did you get into that?
A lot of networking. So when I first started, I initially started cold pitching. I outlined some businesses in the area, and I was like, I'll try to email them and share my portfolio and give some ideas and see if they're interested. And that didn't go anywhere, which was a really good lesson. I was glad I did it. And then I had people around me who said, you should join the Peabody Chamber. You should go to one of their events. I think it would really help you. And so that really kicked off my networking that grew my clientele. I went to one event there, and then I went to a North Shore Women Connect event, and I started meeting people and explaining what I was doing, and I just met a lot of great people who wanted to help me and wanted to give referrals, and not only just help me get clients, but also give me resources, which were really important, because I hadn't owned my own business before. I didn't know what that looked like.
Absolutely.
So there was a lot of education there, and it wasn't overnight that I had all these clients. It was fostering those relationships and really investing in it, and that was super important to me, and that's how I've grown all of my business. So that's something I really value.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point too. People think, oh, I'll just go to this meeting and I'll meet all these people and get all this business. It's like, no, you have to keep going.
Yes,
you have to keep going back. You have to build the relationships, because that really is going to make a difference, definitely. And I think for many of us, you get all these business cards from people that you just met, and it's great. But if you don't have any other contact with them after that, it kind of loses itself, and they forget about you. So talk a little bit about what you do with North Shore Women Connect.
Yeah, so I am part of doing the social media for North Shore Women Connect, which is really exciting as woman-owned business and a woman-led organization to get to be part of sharing those stories and getting to promote those events. We had another conference in the last year, and I really loved getting to go and capture the content for that and listen to all the speakers. So that's just consistently a really rewarding opportunity there. And I get to meet a lot of awesome women-owned businesses.
It is a great organization that I've been involved with as well for a long time. And even the book club,
Yes, the book club's fun.
And you were coming to those meetings as well for a while. Having a monthly book club with just a group. You don't have to be a woman in business. You don't have to own a business or anything. You could just be part of this group, and whether it's the book club or the North Shore Women Connect. And I always like that. So I love that you're getting a lot more FaceTime with people out there for North Shore Women Connect, because it is such a great organization. And then your involvement in the Peabody Chamber of Commerce as well. So are you on the board as well?
Yes, so I'm on the board for that. We recently just started a marketing committee, which I'm now chairing too, which is really exciting. I was like, oh, why not?
Sure.
I was like, I'll put my hat in the ring.
Yeah.
So that's been a great organization for me, and as I mentioned, the first event that I attended, I was welcomed instantly. It was actually by Cindy Moore, who we both know.
Yes.
She was like, I'm going to help you.
She is good at that.
She's really
Yes.
good, and she made me feel so welcomed.
Yeah.
And then from there, so did so many others, and it's just been such a positive experience that I'm really excited to now be on the board and get to give back and, pay that forward with other new members and give them the same welcoming experience. And ideally, as being part of the board, getting to be a resource for them, like through the marketing committee, to help them as they continue to evolve as an organization and get to help them reach newer generations and different industries. So that's really an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, and that's really what I think the term paying it forward is really about. It's not about, well, I'm going to do this for you so that you do it for me later. It's about just contributing wherever you see the need. And for you, like the example you just gave on, being a part of the marketing committee and getting that started and developing new programs without thinking like, oh, this is going to bring in X number of dollars for my business, but you're doing it because you're good at it. It's what you enjoy, and people like having you on the board, and you're great to work with, and so naturally the business will come. But it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a different perspective than just being out there to get your business card out there so that someone would book you for for their social media.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, it's nice to kind of pivot too from when you're in those networking positions and you are trying to get that visibility, you are getting yourself out there. Whereas when I'm doing work or having conversations with the board, that's not even top of my mind, which feels weird to say. I probably didn't think that would be the case a year or so ago. But you are so focused on, okay, how do I contribute my voice in an effective way instead?
Yeah, right. And talk about the phrase you have about building the door if the door's not open.
Yes.
What is that? Yeah, I'm interested in this. So like, what is that, and how do you incorporate that in your life and your work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's essentially about creating a table if you don't have a seat at an existing table and creating opportunities. And for me, when I was at that transitional point in my career, I felt like I had to go out and make opportunities happen, and I had to seek that out. And I would encourage that to anyone else who feels like they're in an in-between path or is kind of curious about starting something new. You can't wait around for the opportunities. You have to
gotta get out there.
Create it, and just taking that one initial step, then you will meet someone like a Cindy Moore who will say, oh, I want to help you. Like, those people are out there, and that will help pave that way for you. But I just think you can't just sit around and wait and hope that things happen or get caught up in the process thinking, oh, I'm behind, or if it hasn't happened, it's not going to happen.
That's the tough part.
It's so easy to get stuck in that thought process. And I think just being proactive and just trying a little bit and then seeing where it takes you is always worth it.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I definitely agree, because I feel like, we spend so much time trying to think, from behind the computer, the strategy, the spreadsheets, and especially like you, who's behind the computer a lot, it's your business. It's like so tempting to just stay home and go, oh, I'll just send these emails. Or like you said, you tried to do, I'll just do this outreach, this cold outreach, and see if it, like the spaghetti theory, see what sticks once you throw it against the wall and see what sticks. But, to really get yourself out of that comfort zone, and get out there and meet people, it really does have a lot of rewards to it.
It really does. And it makes you feel good. I think anyone who's attending like a networking event for the first time, it's absolutely intimidating if you're going in and you don't know anyone in the room. It's so normal to be nervous, but everyone else has been there before. And at the beginning, it pretty much all the networking events I went to, I was dreading going to, and I didn't regret one. I felt so happy and
that's great.
Just so relieved, and always walked away with something, whether it was someone's business card or a little bit more knowledge to help me in my next direction. Yeah,
so that is very encouraging for someone who doesn't want to go, you know, who's like, no, I'm just gonna, stay home and not even attend this event, but just to show up. To put a smile on your face, start a conversation with someone.
Exactly.
Like you said, even if you get one business card or one connection,
it all leads somewhere.
It's a place to start.
Exactly. Just find a friendly face. And it feels weird. The amount of times I've walked up to a group and just pivoted in their conversation and hope for the best. It's always
works.
worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I must say, I mean, for what you've done in such a short amount of time is pretty extraordinary.
Thank you.
You've really hit the right groups, the right buttons, the right connections for what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's terrific. So talk a little bit too about you mentioned some of the services that you offered, that audit that you do. Explain what that is and how that can help people.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started explaining my services, I quickly realized, how can I break this down so people understand the effectiveness and how this can really help them? And sometimes there's a little hesitance, of course, and that's natural. So that's
definitely.
when I developed the social media audit, and that's outside of the regular monthly retainers that I work with businesses on. So social media audit is a one-time project I'll work on where I will go in, I will analyze your content, your analytics, I will outline basically a roadmap of here's some areas of improvement, here's what's going really well, and then include some content ideation as well. So we'll have a phone call to follow up on all the results, and that's where I'll really walk through, here's some ideas where I think you could post something a little different, and then typically I will throw in like a graphic or a post as well as a little gift.
So they get it. That's nice.
Yeah, a little something to have,
really nice.
because I also find it helpful to show that visual instead of just talking through it. So it's just a nice way to have that roadmap, and then from there, the business can decide, okay, I feel like I've got what I need. I'm going to go do this on my own. And then other times they might want to work with me. There's no pressure either way. It's really up to them. And from there, they can just kind of take it and continue enhancing their socials.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea that you do that. I think it's really good. I haven't heard of anyone else doing that. I've heard of people that do like discovery calls if they're coaches and things like that to get to know the person first. But to have like a little snippet, a little snapshot maybe of how they are right now, and for you to offer your expertise and your advice so that they get to know you and they know how you work and they know some of the things you look at is great. And even if they can't maybe afford to at that time move forward with you, or they're not ready to or something, they still have something they're walking away with that they can focus on and improve on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I found it more impactful than just having a quick phone call, because a lot of the times they will have questions about, well, should I change this on my profile, or should I post more of this content? And the audit's helpful because I can just dig right in and actually help them instead of giving them an answer that maybe won't make so much sense in that short conversation.
Yeah, that's terrific. Great. So tell everybody how we can find you or connect with you if somebody wanted to work with you or learn a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn's definitely the best place to find me.
Okay.
That's where I post a lot of my client projects, a lot of events, and I also have a LinkedIn newsletter called The Digital Thread, and I outline monthly tips and tricks and highlights of how businesses can have sharper social media and email marketing. So that's a good place to stay in touch there and
So start with LinkedIn.
Yes.
But you also have a website.
I do have a website. Yes. I have a website as well, Nicole-Glynn.com. So you can see there as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. And so just taking a little look into the future, what kind of things do you have? How would you know that this business venture you're in is a success? What are some of the things you'd like to see for yourself in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely just continuing to expand with different businesses in the area.
Okay.
The reach that's super helpful for me. Yeah. That's something that's really important. I actually, as I hit my 1 year, I did my own little self-review.
You did.
I didn't have like a manager. And I was still used to the corporate life a little bit.
Right. You got to do it.
And I outlined, okay, here's what's worked well. Here are some learning lessons. And then what are some achievable, realistic goals in the next year? And that was something where I kind of outlined, all right, I want to step a little more outside of my comfort zone. I want to, attend different types of events. I want to see what kind of ways that I can broaden my service without offering too much that it confuses people. Because I think it's important
that's a good
to have
point. Yeah.
clear intentions there.
Right.
So those were personal goals for me. And moving forward, like looking at the next year, I'm excited to work on projects with my current clients about their milestones, as well as getting to continue meeting new clients and going into other networking spaces that I haven't gone yet so that I don't get too comfortable.
Right. That's really a great goal. I think that's a terrific strategy to keep pushing a little bit outside your comfort zone all the
Yes.
time. That will keep you growing, keep you learning all the time.
Absolutely.
And definitely to have the ways to keep it your business, like in that market niche that you talked about, because I'm thinking when customers come to you, they're already confused and already overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
So having those, the buckets or the strategies that you lay out for people is very helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah, simplifying it is definitely key.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank
This
you
was
for having
great
me.
just to talk about what you do. I didn't even realize that you did. So I knew you did social media, but you're doing a lot more than just that. It's kind of like I learned a lot more about what you do today too, as well. So thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank
It
you
was
so much
great
for
to have-
having me. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
It was great to be here, have you here. And thank you, all of you, for listening or watching here today on Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill. Please join us again soon. And we have lots more episodes coming up. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe on whatever platform you're joining us on.